Okay, I am here on Napster, and as you can see on my playlist, I was playing the last thing I played was the St. Mexico. But I'm going to go and listen for the first time. I wonder if you can, yeah, you can actually pause. Because I'm only going to let a second of this, not long of this play. Because I'm going to record in live time the first time I'm hearing this song. Now, I was disturbed by the facial graphic of this when I noticed it the day I was reviewing it on my podcast. As y'all know, I've been a big fan of Hinder for years. I'm going to listen to their brand new song. Here we go. I'm going to click it now. I'm not sure how loud this will be.
Looking down, thinking you're divine in your halo, casting on the stone, ignorant and proud, thinking you're divine in your halo. Why can't you let it go? Thinking everything's about you. Your halo is slipping and your castle's coming down. With consequences raining from the lights you're gonna down. Passion is contagious, campaigns and dangerous, and silence can be so loud. Someday you're gonna look around and find your halo on the ground.
And I think I am back. Am I back? Yes, I am back. I have listened to it in full. Now, sound wise, I wouldn't say it's the worst. I wouldn't say it's the best, but I wouldn't say it's the worst. Cover wise, look at this face here. Hateful, hypocrite, homophobe, racist, liar, xenophobe. It's xenophobic. It's all that same old garbage, the left. And I'm not criticizing you, Hinder. But, and I'm going to tell you this. Now, you can do what you want to do. The last concert I attended, I wore one of my Alex Jones shirts. Now, Alex Jones is synonymous with this movement. They actually give him credit for electing Donald J. Trump. Now, I think it was Michael Savage. But they give Alex Jones the credit. That's okay. Because Jones did work overtime. I mean, but Savage actually interviewed Trump years ago, and he continued to interview him. And I always give Savage the ample credit. And it don't really matter here, because Savage and Jones, indeed, I teamed them together in my little show. I would be careful with this direction if you go too far into it. And I'm not saying this to bash you. I'm not bashing you. I didn't even try to bash Marilyn Manson or Guns N' Roses. I was really highly disappointed in Axl Rose. Probably even more disappointed if y'all start going this direction. Because I'm going to tell you, and that this is going to shock people more than anything. Guns N' Roses, when I was a kid, it was Guns N' Roses and Skid Row. But after seeing y'all many, many concerts, and I know I never did know you personally. I only spoke with Cody one time, and he actually done a good job on my songs. I put Hinder over everybody. Even Marilyn Manson, even Guns N' Roses. I may have not mentioned it much. But as far as people are concerned, people that I would consider that I know, sort of, even though I don't really know you, y'all are kind of like the savage in the room, who's the uncle in the room, or the brothers, or whatever you call them. Even like Alex Jones, I felt like I never even spoken to him. I've never even met him. I met y'all. I met Hinder in full once with Austin when we was in Orlando, Florida. And I spoke to Cody outside a little bit around the time I was getting my songs done. But I contacted him afterwards and asked him to mix them because I was having trouble mixing them. So I'm not going to jump a hate bandwagon, but I would caution you, and I'm just saying this in a friendly way, caution you about this direction. I mean, I know there's a big push for Hollywood, for musicians and everything. I mean, and I've seen what they do. I mean, I listened to an interview by Ted Nugent. I see what they do to Kanye West. I worry about Mustaine because I know where he's at and I see what his fans say to him. And he sort of went silent. I'd be careful with this because I'm telling y'all, I will tell you this, and I'm not lying about this. I got lost. I went to the bathroom that night, and the club sort of circled around. I couldn't get out of the building. I kept circling around. I thought, oh, God, my back's going to give out before I can get back to the bend. I'm going to collapse or something. And I kid you not. Great shirt, man. Hey, man, nice shirt. Nice shirt, man. Nice shirt. That was your fans. Some of your crew was doing it too, and I shouldn't really say that. Hopefully, but I didn't see their faces. It was in the dark anyway, so I couldn't identify them in a lineup if I was. But I'm telling you, your crowd. Nice shirt, man. Your crowd's not in with it. Now, I know there's a lot of lies about Donald Trump. You want to know who the liars are? You got liars stamped on this face of this, and I'm looking at it, this cover. You want to know who the liars are? They're the liars that says all these lies about Donald J. Trump. As far as homophobia, that is a myth, man. That is the biggest myth that ever existed. That is a lifestyle. Now, I know one could say, who is it your right to, but we all make decisions. We all make, like, say, choices about what we want in our lives. Homosexuality is no different than that. It is a choice. It is the same as me liking blind-headed women. Or if I liked brunettes. I would normally probably like a blind. I've seen a few brunettes I thought was pretty in my life. I'd probably like a blind-headed woman. If I was dating a woman. But it's no different than a sexual behavior. And some people rue other sexual behaviors. Like there are some Christians, and I'm a Christian, who would not go to see you in a club or go to see you, period. And I don't count myself a hypocrite. I don't count it as a strike to my faith. In other words, your songs aren't going to affect, it might affect my personality, and it might come out in my heart, like, say, meditating. But I never really heard Hinder really do anything really. I mean, they had songs that glorified sex and all that, but I mean, I never really heard Hinder go demonic or anything. The worst y'all did was the one where you're not to preach to me, save me. And I've never really heard Hinder go absolutely fully demonic. Well, See You in Hell may have been on that lines. But I just looked at that as, everybody's always associated the judgment of rock and roll and hell. That's what I'm talking about. I don't feel like it offends my faith any, because I'm still believing in Jesus Christ. Even when I'm sitting in a concert with y'all, I still put my faith in Jesus. He's going to watch over me. And I know the God hates church. They would say, well, you're going to be condemned for that. I don't believe that. And I choose not to believe that. That is everything, even in the Bible. You got to look at it. There's sections. There's different times, different periods, different. It's different time. There was a time it was determined that you had to actually follow God's statements, His commandments. And if you didn't, He came against you. That is what the Old Testament was. Them Old Testament saints, they call them, had it hard. They had to literally follow this or they were stricken dead. Now, even when Jesus was here on the face of the earth, his 33 years of his life and his 3 years of his ministry. He was still in the day of the Old Testament when he was talking to all them people. When they'd approach him and he'd tell them they'd have to follow the law. And even the one who had, of course, he was trying to point a point that he was more concerned with his stuff than wanting to be saved. He was wanting to prove that he wouldn't give up his stuff if it meant to him be saving. It wasn't really he was supposed to give up his stuff. Jesus told him that because he was expecting him to see if he'd do it. See if he'd lose a soul over it. But he wasn't worthy. Now with salvation, from what I can tell, now this could be a heresy, and it's what I'm getting out of it. Your salvation has nothing to do with any works you do on this earth. Now I know there's people that preaches otherwise, and I know there's a light, but I don't feel like the music. Now it may not be good to meditate, say some of the stuff Marilyn Manson says. It might not be good to meditate on that stuff. And I like Marilyn. I'm not bashing him. And I always thought there's a reason he was doing it other than just being satanic. I thought he was speaking out against the very things that I don't like that I'm probably addressing in this video. And I hope you don't get offended. I'm just trying, and I don't even know if you'll listen to me. You may never even hear it. You may decide you don't want to hear it. That's fine with me too. But I'd be careful with jumping this bandwagon. I'm telling you this as a fan, but as a person who kind of sees you in a friendly way, even though we don't really know each other. I think of y'all higher than I think of even most musicians. Hinder, I think of y'all more than I would most of these. I've never even seen most bands like I've seen y'all. And don't really care that I don't see most bands with more than y'all. You know what I'm saying? Now, I will be honest. Austin, when it comes to Austin and Hinder, but I like Marshall too. He's good. He puts a lot of energy into his show. Austin just has the voice I like. I like Austin's voice. I like his voice overall today. I mean, I'm so glad that we got to see him in a house where we was on a couch and I was sitting in front of watching him on a couch like I'd be in my living room. Just giving you some pointers, and I hope this don't get stricken down, because if it does, I'm just going to take the clip out, and I'm going to I may just do that. I may go ahead and edit the music out, just play the start and the finish, and because I think it's important that this gets up there. This is some constructive criticism. I think I kind of handled it wrong the last time. But I'm older now. I mean, I'm 43 years old. And I don't act it all the time, but I've grown up some. I'm just trying to tell you that what I witnessed, that last show I seen y'all. I'm telling you, I got lost. I was going to the bathroom. And this might have happened for this reason, for me telling you this. If you ever even listen to it. Maybe if your friends or fans or somebody will listen to it, maybe they'll tell you about it, tell you to listen to it. Of course, they won't, especially them people who want to keep you away from things, keep you away from the truth. Like every one of these statements on this cover, they might be true in some instances, like they really are racist in this world. And they're in all shapes and sizes and colors. Like that Indian discriminating against them boys just because they had a Donald Trump cap on. He's a racist. The Black Lives Matter movement, they're a bunch of racists. They're not concerned with white people at all. Indeed, they kill the white people. And one could say you could see their point, but I don't. Because you don't even hear me chanting that about the Mexicans or the illegal aliens. You got to stay human. Now, there was one group of people that I said probably should be wiped off the face of the earth, and it was ISIS. But you know, I was even listening to the preacher the other day, the Pastor Rodney Brown, Howard Brown. He said it. He said, God is speaking to ISIS all over. They're repentant. So maybe even my mind was kind of harsh with ISIS. But I just don't like the death of people. I don't want to see anybody suffer. And so every one of these statements are true. But I am telling you this in a loving way. In a criticism way, but in a loving way and in a disappointed way. And if you choose to go this path, I will choose to distance myself, but it'd only be because I've got to stand for something or I'll fall for anything. And there's things that I fell for throughout my years that probably shouldn't have fell for, and I did. But I try to keep some of my... I mean, that's what life is. That's what it's all about. It's about keep on walking, keep on going on your faith. And no matter how many times you fail, no matter how many times you fall down, you're supposed to get back up and keep on walking. Walk on through the rain. There's an Elvis song about that. Walk on. It used to be one of my favorites. Anytime I felt down, I'd get that song and I'd listen to it. And I know you can't go on feelings. I've listened to many of pastors, and I don't follow just one church. I've listened to many in many different directions, and I've even listened to the God Hates Church. And I don't disagree with everything they say, but I disagree with some of their thoughts on it. And I do see them as being kind of in a hateful way, but I try to stay in the bounds of maybe they're just misinformed or something. I just give people benefits of the doubt. Like I even ran into old Robert Tilton the other day, and I brought this up in my new podcast, the one I just got through recording. And I thought, well, he does preach about Jesus and about needing to know Jesus, but the point of it is, if he goes and takes somebody and steals their money, because I think of send me your money. He was the face of that. I believe if I could ask that man, I've never seen suicidal tendencies. I liked them when I was in the 90s. Well, I kind of liked them, kind of didn't like them. Sometimes they'd irritate me, but I did like them. That was my favorite, still is one of my favorite songs. Send me your money. Send me your money. I actually think of him when I see that. But the pastor in the video kind of reminds me of him. I seen him the other day. His message is right, but he's still begging for money. He's wanting to build a hotel out there in Hawaii. He's wanting to build a resort. I kid you not. So I'm going to close this thing. I don't know how long I've spoken here. Let me check this. 17 minutes. This has been a podcast. Even though it's not a podcast, it's a video. But I'm telling you, just open your mind and think. I know you've heard these things, and I know people have bullied people into thinking these things. But you got to understand what people think. I mean, if you've seen our town, you would understand why I would be against illegal immigration. And it's not about legal immigration, it's about illegal immigration. I'm all for people coming here the right way. Indeed, I called him Bush. Of course, right now, most of the conservatives, there are some, indeed, they're fighting with each other. They think of him like Bush now. I even saw Ann Coulter tell him, congratulations, you've become a coward more than HW to me. There's some on our side I'm choosing to stay neutral right now. I don't know what to think. I'll feel let down if he caves on this immigration and this amnesty, because, like I said, like I was going to say, I was so glad that day he was addressing this that he focused in on 5 people being sworn in, because that's the way we go. We swear people in. We would come here legally. And I don't care about the arguments about what before. I mean, all these nations, every one of them, have been built on somebody else conquering somebody. I mean, that's history. That's history 101. Just go look at history. That's history 101. The world has been built on one nation conquering another nation. But the thing about it is if a nation's strong, I mean, look at Russia. It's had a big run. I mean, they've got conquered several times. They had a socialist movement in the 1917 from on down to 1989 when they tore down the wall. And I know people associate that wall with the wall and the border. It's not the same thing. We're talking about a poor country, a nation separated amongst itself. And we're talking about a city where people lived on one side. If they had a girlfriend or a wife, and that wall went up and they were separated from that wife or girlfriend, they were just separated from that person. They were just separated. And that country was that way for 30-something years, however long. I accidentally said 50 one time. But it wasn't no 50. It was 1960-something to 1989. I was a kid. I watched it. I even stayed out of school to watch that day. I remember when that wall, I was excited. Seeing the Soviet Union fall. That was a big thing for me. I stayed out of school. I was in trouble with creepy woman. She was wanting to put me in jail. She's wanting to send me off. I stayed out of school to watch that wall come down. I was excited to see the Soviet, and I'm still excited to see the Soviet Union fall. I don't want no Soviet Union, and I don't want it here in the United States of America. They're pushing for that. I gotta close this thing because it's going on, and I gotta get me some breakfast too. I'm hungry. So thank you for listening. If you listen to this, and somebody will, I know somebody will listen to it. So thank you for listening.